Billy, good to have you here, mate.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Mate, it's my pleasure. It's really interesting. You're the first player I've had from the Chooks, and I've been a lifelong Chooks fan. So
You're
this is
saying that
nice
'cause
for
I'm
me
here.
to...
That's what everyone
Mate,
says.
Brad Fittler was my
Oh, yeah.
idol growing up.
Pretty feel
I loved a bit of Freddie growing
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
I wanted to either be Freddie or Batman when I was 6 years old, and I'm neither.
No, he's a good man, Freddie. He still keeps in touch with the club and he's always around. So he's a good man to look up to.
Mate, I want to ask you, like the Roosters is a club that's obviously full of legends and it's full of success. Like you look at the Chooks, that's why it's great to be a Chooks fan because there's been plenty of good years. And when you look around the club, you see plenty of steady heads, whether that's senior players, coaching staff, or people in management. But I hear a lot about Robbo, and we were chatting before. I heard Robbo on Mark Boris's podcast. We record here at Mark's studio, and one of the things I heard Robbo talk about was he often gifts players in the clubs different books. He's a big mindset guy, from what I hear. Has he ever gifted you a book?
He makes us do that sort of stuff, I reckon, every year. Books, poems, heaps of different things over my 8-9 years there. But obviously he's a great coach, but that's most of Robbo. You know, he's so dialed in on the mental aspect of the game. I think one of the great things about Robbo as well is, I mean, he gets to know you as a person, and he really knows his players. And I think that's really important in the way he coaches you as well. He knows you as a player, knows you as a person, as opposed to just teaching you footy. And that's been a really cool thing because you're right. He's very big on the mindset, mindfulness side of things, and he knows when to offer advice or give you certain things as opposed to just I feel like everyone's individuals there, which is it's a cool thing.
You mentioned poems. There's a poem that I heard he made everyone read, If by Rudyard Kipling.
What's that one? I don't know the names.
I've got a little section here I want to read to you because I think it quite funnily applies to what's been a challenging time in first grade for you with plenty of injuries. There's a part of the poem If by Rudyard Kipling that says, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve you long after they are gone, and so hold on where there is nothing in you except the will which says to them hold on.
We you got some good inside intel. We spent a whole pre-season dissecting that one poem, so I should know off the back of my hand. But we literally spent 1 week. We go through one one paragraph off at the next. We go through the next, and we literally broke it down each one line at a time. I've never done it before, and that's Robbo for you. Like that sort of stuff. I don't think too many coaches or too many people would be doing that.
Can I ask you, does that kind of style of coaching and that style of work resonate with you? Because I know everyone's different, right? But does that, for you, being able to dissect something like that and take lessons from literature and different places to apply to your own mindset, does that work for you?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I'm a bit of a deep thinker. Like I'm probably not as deep as Robbo, but I really I find it interesting. I like how you're right, as you said, you can apply those sort of stuff to anything in life, but it's really interesting, like you bring up even like a few of the lines you said there, like you can apply it to what you do in your craft. And I love how he's able to do that. He's able to bring things in that have nothing to do with rugby league or anything like that and apply it to what we do. As I said, he brings something like that in every year. There's something new every single year. And that's what keeps it exciting and keeps it new.
At risk of looking too deeply into it, there's, one of those lines in there that says, literally, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew, which is another name for a tissue or a ligament, right?
Is it?
And I think it is so weirdly specific to what's been, mate, a challenging portion of time for you, mate, because, you hear about people like you coming through the ranks of schoolboys, and I know you played at Scots and played rugby for most of your junior career. And you hear about somebody who's got so much talent, but maybe a little bit of bad luck,
Yeah, that's been my career a little bit. I suppose coming through school, I wasn't that much of a. I mean, I was okay, but I wasn't.
I reckon you're full of shit, mate. I wasn't
a down and out superstar. But the Roosters were good to me, and they picked me up. They saw something in me, and unfortunately, that's just kind of been the first couple of years were pretty good, and then I hit a bit of a 5 year patch where it was just injury on injury on
Mm.
injury on injury, and I'd like to think that I've seen the end of it, but life's life. You never know what's around the corner. But I do know one thing is that the club have been awesome. They stuck by me, and it's taught me a lot. Taught me a lot of. It's been a crazy journey, and yeah, although it's that side of things has been really disappointing. It has forced me to learn a lot about myself, and I'm always grateful for that side of it.
2020, season-ending ACL. 2021, 4-month shoulder injury, and then a season-ending foot injury. 2022, ACL again. 2023, fractured jaw, which led to no games in 2024. But 2025, this season, that's just past us, felt like such a special year for you. Mate, it was nice to see. I think any fan of not just the Roosters, but rugby league can say that when we seen you run out there for the first time this year, everyone had their fingers crossed,
I really, I speak to my brother and my dad about this all the time, but when you watch the game back, do a review or whatever, and you hear the commentary speak about that, like, oh, Billy Smith, unlucky with injuries, I say, I'm really looking forward to the day where they don't bring up my name and they say that in the one sentence. And throughout the back end of last year, that's how it was. I'd say Billy Smith, and then wouldn't bring up injuries. So it was a bit of a almost a bit of a tip of the cap sort of thing. It felt nice not having my name. I know that's part of my story, and I am really proud of it. But it is funny, like hearing that. It's like, oh, it's nice to have someone say your name and not, I suppose, the guy who's always injured, or the guy who's, as you said, fingers crossed.
I've got to ask you about it. Like when you go through this year after year, because some players experience challenges with injuries throughout the course of a career. It's fair to say that you've experienced it in quite a condensed period of time, over the course of 4 or 5 years. But when it continues to happen, like here you are, mate, after a fucking remarkable year. So what kept you going?
Oh, God, that's a bit of a deep question. I've had to think about this a lot, even over the last few years. But I think for me, just making all I wanted to do growing up was be a footy player. I know I grew up playing rugby union, so my dreams were a little bit different when I was a kid. But all it ever was footy. And I think for me, because unfortunately there were times, especially more recently over the last couple of years, where I thought to myself this might be it. But it wouldn't feel right. I just feel like I wanted to make that little kid proud. And I feel like I haven't done that yet, and I definitely hadn't done it when I was thinking about it. And also there's that, and there's also the obvious factors. The club had stuck by me for so long, and they were still sticking by me, so I wanted to make them proud. I wanted to do the things that I said I was going to do to them. I want to win a premiership. I want to do all these things to represent my country. I want to represent my state. So all these things are driving factors that I think all come into, I guess, keep going.
How much of an influence is your brother? Because from what I hear, your brother was quite a talented player who had challenges with injuries too, and called a day on his career. Is he in your ear? Do you talk to him and bounce some of those feelings and thoughts off him during difficult times?
All the time. He's probably my closest mate. He has lived in a way. He was growing up. I've been open about this. He was a far more talented footy player than I was. But similar to me, he battled injuries, battled hardships in footy, and even when he finished playing, I think he had 6 back-to-back shoulder surgeries, and it got to a point where he couldn't swim without it causing him grief, couldn't surf, couldn't do the things he loves to do, so he ended up calling down on it, and seeing, I suppose, as all little brothers do, you look up to your older brothers, and seeing him go through all that sort of stuff and come out the other end is really inspiring. But it also made me think to myself, there is life outside of footy.
Yeah.
He's he's one of the biggest advocates of me. Like when I was going through all these things, being like, "No, you're gonna be fine. Just like head down, keep working, all that sort of stuff." But even seeing him come out the other end and find a real passion in what he does, which is now training, and for me, it's a nice feeling because you know that although footy is the most important thing for me right now, there's life outside of footy, and I think as I said, he's one of my best mates, and I bounce so many things off him. But it's nice to speak to someone who's kind of gone through it as well.
Yeah. I love that you say that. Like I've got a couple of great mates who are athletes, and when you're just a fan of sport, you look at athletes as athletes, and then when you become friends with those people, you see them as people, right? And you realize that there is a whole life outside of the existence of 80 minutes on the paddock every week that is far more important. Don't get me wrong, footy's important, but when you see those mates have kids, get married, you see them with their families and the people that mean something to them, you realize that there is such a bigger picture that we're too zoomed in on when we're watching the game on telly.
I think that's probably what, like, you speak about what all these injuries have taught you. That's probably it. Just like the perspective of things. Like as footy players, and we get so, especially like the way we live, we get so bogged down on footy, which is what we're supposed to do. But when you get that taken away from you, you kind of have to sit back and look at the bigger picture a little bit. And I think that's what it's taught me the most about is that, like, yes, this is important, but like there are kids starving out there. There are people who don't have a family. Like there are so many things of people going through tougher things in this world. And I think for me, that's what helped me the most. And I've said this before. My family have been awesome in that. Like when anything bad has happened, although it's been very sad and disappointing, it's always been like, all right, like sit on it for a little bit, but after a while, like you got to get up and move on. Like life goes on. Like I'm very, very lucky. I got a great family support system. I live in a beautiful part of the world. I got a lot of people who love me, and although what I was going through was disappointing, like there is also a lot to be grateful for.
Absolutely. And it's often challenges like that open your eyes to that, but I think it's also recognizing those things outside of what you're isolated on when you're in a challenging time that allows you to actually recover from it. A great mate of mine was on the cusp of becoming a professional surfer, attacked by a bull shark, lost a huge part of his leg. This is now 7-8 years ago. He's got an amazing film out called Attacking Life, and his story is unbelievable. His name's Brett Kennellan, and he really credits golf and his dog for giving him a coping strategy through a time in which, when your coping strategy is for most athletes to go and play your sport, you need something outside of it. You need something adjacent to it in which you can go and actually turn your brain off for a little bit and just operate in a low stakes manner. If you're shit on the golf course, it doesn't matter. It's not your sport.
Well, it does matter. It depends who you're talking to. If it matters to me. If I'm going bad, I hurt myself.
That's the competitive side here.
But I that's, as you said, he'd know all about it. But like it's the truth, like it's so important to have things outside of sport or whatever you do that takes your mind off it and makes you realize that it's not the be all and end all. Although it's very important and you care a lot about it, there are other important things in this world, which is why I love, golf and even a dog, two very like things that aren't that important, but for some people can change your life really.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Have you ever heard of Ben Crowe?
No.
He's a mindset coach. He used to work at Nike. He's worked with guys like Andre Agassi. He's worked with some of the Celtics boys over in the NBA, which I know is not your team. But a bunch of different athletes, Dusty Martin, people like that in Australian sport, who one of the big lessons that I've taken from the stuff that I've read and listened to about Ben is this teaching he applies to all of his athletes, which is you've got to separate the human doing from the human being. And like the human doing is the success you have when you're out there doing your thing, doing your craft. The human being is this whole other side of your life, and that's ultimately where you get your self-worth from. But I think for a lot of us young, ambitious guys, you wrap your self-worth up in what you do as opposed to who you are. And fuck, that's such a lesson to learn.
Yeah,
right?
It is. And I
it's
think
a bit of an ego death.
A little bit. And I think that's what, when people speak about like injuries making them, for me, that's been my hardship, I suppose. But there can be so many different hardships going in this world. But like when I say like it teaches you to learn a lot about yourself. It's that, you know, it teaches
Yeah.
you how to manage stresses in life, teaches you, you know, what's important, what's not important, what makes you tick. I think it forces you to think on a bit of a deeper level.
Mate, do you feel that obviously like growing up and being so competitive for so long, you're a competitive person, does that ever turn off? Can you turn that switch off after a game? Or do you
Um,
find yourself like critically analyzing yourself, critically
yeah,
analyzing your
I
game?
think I think every single footy player you speak to would be like
Mm,
that. But yeah, I think I am who I am. You know, like I'm competitive by nature, always have been. So you don't really turn that off. But there's levels to it, definitely. I can play cards and not want to rip my opponent's head off, like
yeah.
I probably did when I was a kid. But as I said, I am who I am. You know, I try to be myself,
Mm.
24 hours of the day, all the time. And that's just part of me, I suppose.
Are you ritualistic? Do you have rituals before a game?
I mean, not no. I do certain things, but I wouldn't call them rituals.
Can you talk about some of those things that I think?
I'm just trying to think. I'm big on mindfulness. Like I believe in meditation, breathing, all that sort of stuff. So I do a lot of that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like I do it a specific time before a game or anything like that, but I definitely do it throughout the week, leading into games and all that sort of stuff. Again, just a way to, I suppose, help me self regulate, get back to that happy medium space that everyone speaks about. And that's probably the biggest thing for me. It's just that's something I picked up on throughout the journey.
Did you pick up on that as ways to cope through the injuries, or is that, senior players at the club, coaching staff talking about those things?
I was introduced it by guys at the Roosters, but I think, I mean, as athletes, as your life's like this, you know, it's a roller coaster, and it's just like, how do you try and just stay on that medium level? Because it's so difficult, you know, whether it's stuff going on at home, or you had a bad game, or you had a really good
Mm.
game, you know, like either or. Just being able to yeah, I guess that's allowed me to do that. There's a good quote I hear a lot. I've heard it a lot recently, actually. Is that the whole saying of like this too shall pass? I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty common, but like just anything you do, like it shall pass. Whether it's bad, good, whatever it is, like it shall
Mm.
pass. Just yeah, my whole thing is trying to stay on that happy medium and not get too high, not get too low.
Does that make it challenging when you have little personal victories along the way? Because you want to enjoy
Yeah,
them,
you almost
right?
yeah. You almost don't be happy. Don't be happy.
Yeah.
No, it's. I suppose you. I mean, I'm not saying I don't go high, I don't go low because I do both those things.
Mm.
I just try and manage it. Because I know anything good can be taken away in a moment. I've experienced it. And the tough times don't last. So for me, I wear my heart on my sleeve a little bit. So anything I do, I ride the wave of emotions. But yeah, it's probably the biggest thing I've learned is to just try and stay present and try stay at that medium level I speak about.
Mm. I like that. I feel like I'm recognizing those words from a few mates of mine who echo similar thoughts and
Mm.
feelings about
So I'm
some of
sure
those
it's a
challenging
very
periods.
yeah, I'm sure it's a common thing in sport. You know, like any athlete, I'm sure would understand the sort of the wave of emotions and
Mm.
I mean any person really that you ride and just the importance of yeah, not getting too worked up but not getting too low at the same time.
Friend of the show, James O'Connor, who I had on last year, he seems to have a really good mental state about how he looks at his game and how he looks at life outside of it. As a guy who, you talk about the roller coaster, has experienced both sides of it. Moments
Mm,
of absolute elation, but also moments of serious challenge and moments in which kind of thrown to the fire,
mm,
where the skeptics and the wolves are there to feast on you. And he's a guy who I couldn't believe was so level-headed after having so many ups and downs throughout his career, but he really has found an inner
mm,
peace with, as you said, like this too shall pass and whatever will be will be,
yeah.
and
He was
it's
my favorite
inspiring.
player growing up.
Oh, really?
James O'Connor actually.
Mate, he's
Yeah.
an unbelievable human being. He's
Yeah,
such a
yeah,
nice
yeah.
guy.
Well, you kind of see the way he's playing his footy at the moment. You know, how old is he?
Oh,
Mid
mate, I don't know,
thirty, mid
mid-30s, and
thirties. You know,
he's
he's
back in the green and gold a bit there
yeah,
this
yeah.
year, and
I mean, that's someone who's really like came on the scene as a young dude and had it all, and got taken away from him, and he kind of
mm,
clawed his way back. And yeah, he was back in the day. He was a gun. Obviously,
oh,
still a
mate,
gun, but
yeah,
I used to love him when I was a kid growing up.
absolutely, same
He was a
here.
Union fan.
Same here. It's interesting. So rugby union seems to be, there is a whole different structure and system to the way that rugby union is played in Australia through particularly the private school system. I wanted to ask you, not so much about footy at school, but mate, private schools are a little bit in the firing line at the moment. You know, you hear a lot of negative press about private schools and particularly private boys' schools. What was your experience like at school?
I loved it. Yeah, I'm a proud Scots old boy. I absolutely loved it.
Mm.
I think times have changed a little bit. I'm a bit older now, and but for me, it was. I mean, it's not for everyone, but for me, it was perfect. You know, I had a great group of mates. We're all into our sport, and Scott's accommodated that. And yeah, it was just. I look back on my time at school really fondly. And yeah,
Is that quite a structured environment?
yeah, it was intense. Like I think that's probably what set me up the most of being in a professional environment is because our program wasn't like most school boys. Like we were in there 3 times a week, early 6 a.m. training,
Yeah,
then
wow.
after school rugby training till 5, and then then you have to study, and so like it was hectic. But by you get to year 12 and it's all really, like we didn't know any different. So then when I left school and went into a professional environment, it was not much different, like it was similar except you're getting paid to do it. So on that side of things, it was really good because it set me up.
Is that experience transitioning from high school to being literally surrounded by men, is that daunting?
Oh mate, well, when I went to a private school, and back then there weren't as many like Polynesian dudes running around. Now
Yeah.
now there's heaps, and like now the private school system now is like any good athlete will be at a private school.
Mm.
Well, most I suppose. Whereas back then it was rarely there were it was predominantly private school kids and union boys, not many leagueies. So when I went and jumped over to play rugby league at the Roosters, like I was dealing with men, like big men, and that was very daunting because I was playing against private school kids, a month ago. So for me, that was a bit of a shock to the system, but again, it taught me, it hardened me up, and it taught me a fair bit.
Mate, completely different experience, but as a young guy growing up with CF, I went to Sydney Children's Hospital in Randwick. And when you're getting to like 16, 17 at a children's hospital and you've got a condition that's like lifelong condition, they start to talk to you about transitioning to an adult clinic. And probably the most daunting thing about transitioning into an adult clinic at 17 is they don't cushion anything for you anymore.
Mm,
Like all the words feel a little bit harsher. They don't think of you as a kid anymore. They think of
mm,
you as an adult. So there's almost, you know, less fragility around the way that they
mm,
communicate, and you get things straight down the line.
mm,
And I can imagine stepping into an environment where, you're a young kid, but there's guys who are 35-year-old veterans of the game who have seen it all and have been there, done that. You must feel so impressionable. So
mm.
how do you keep your cool, but also how do you remain true to you and not be too impressionable?
Yeah, well, that's the tough part, I suppose. I came at the back end of 2017, so the 2018 season, my first season. That's when Cooper Cronk signed. That's when James Tedesco signed. And they already had Boydo, Jarrett, like so many big names were already there. So you're right, like it's pretty intimidating. You come into an environment with so many like legends and talented people and big personalities, and like you're still trying to find out who you are as a person. But I loved it. As I said, I was a big footy fan, and you're right, I was probably so impressionable to all these sort of guys. And for the first like 2 years, that's all it is. You're figuring out the game, who you are, and it was a really enjoyable time though, because you're just like you kind of living at home at the time, and it's all kind of carefree. You go home and you're
Yeah.
rubbing shoulders with some of your heroes, and yeah, I look back on those early days as some of my fondest memories.
Are there hard lessons to learn in the fact that you are impressionable and there's things that you want to take in your stride and apply that you see the other boys, but they just
Mm.
don't work for you? And so do you have to go through those learnings?
Oh, I think you definitely do that. You definitely like see people do different things. You're like, oh, I might apply that for myself, and I think that's all part of growing up. Like any
Mm.
any person does that. But I think as well, like I was really lucky. Like the older guys at the club, like man, I can't say this for every club because I've only ever been at the Roosters, but they're such good people, and I think that's the biggest thing about the Roosters is that like there's only good people there. I think like it's a club built on people who are good, respect others, respect women, all that sort of stuff. And I think that was the best thing for me growing up as like a young fella, like coming to the Roosters, is that like you're gonna be a good bloke, otherwise you're getting punted.
Absolutely, yeah.
As they say, like a no dickhead policy sort of thing, and the dickheads get weaseled out pretty quickly. It's clear, it's yeah, pretty clear as day. And I think for me that was the biggest thing because you know that like the people you're looking up to are really good people.
Mm.
And yeah, I think that's something that I think about now, like even getting a bit older and looking at the leadership group we have now at the Roosters, is that like not like that's the people who've gone before you. That's the torch you kind of need to hold now because
Mm.
and not that I am in that group yet because I'm still young, still growing up, but like it is important to be a really good man because you don't know who's looking at you. You don't know what young kids looking
Mm.
up at you. And it is really important to like do the right thing and be yourself and pave the way for, well, not pave the way, but just yeah, I suppose be a really good person, and so that young people looking up can be like, oh, okay, like that's the way to do it. Because I know that's what I had when I was growing up through the Roosters.
Absolutely. Can you name some of those players who for you were really influential that you look to?
Oh, well, I mean, like as I spoke to you before about like the people I came to the club with were like Coops, Jared, Boyd,
Mm.
Teddy, Orbo, Jake Friend, like so many like great players, but also like really good people. Um, so it wasn't hard to like look far and pick up traits from all these sort of people. And something, as you said, some things might work for you, some things might. But what I always got from all those guys was like a level of respect. Although you're a young kid, they were always like super respectful, super kind. I was a 17, 18-year-old kid who hadn't played rugby league in 13, 14 years. And yeah, I just felt at home straight away. And I think that's why I speak so fondly of the club, is because from the moment I got there and even until now, like it's been home. And like anyone, when they go home, they feel a sense of comfort and ease, and that's always been the case for me at the club.
I know that you very nearly, or somewhat considered Melbourne, which feels it's interesting, right? Because I guess if you're a Roosters fan, Melbourne feels like a bit of an arch rival because there's been some good battles
Mm,
over the years, right? And another competitive team who are consistent. But there feels like there's a likeness there. Another
mm.
club that's similar to the Chooks, bit of a no dickhead policy, a little bit straight about the way they do business. But they're a club that seem to inspire the best out of people. You know, what was the decision around the time to actually commit to the Chooks as opposed to a club
Well,
like Storm?
yeah, I mean, like the Melbourne were the first club that approached me. As I said, I was kind of like finished. I had about 3 months to go until I'd finished school, and I was all set on just going to the Waratahs system and playing footy there. Um, and then Melbourne, a coach of ours at Scott said that, oh, Melbourne are keen to speak to you. Have you got a manager? And this point I hadn't got a manager. So I quickly kind of found myself a manager, and Melbourne flew me down for the weekend, and I was just so impressed by. You're right. Like I was a rugby league fan growing up. Although I played union, I was a big league fan. Um, I knew how successful they were at the time. They
Mm.
had Cooper, Billy, and Cam. So they were like in. I think they just won the comp actually. Um, and so yeah, like I was like a bit starstruck, and I saw how they did things. I think they flew me down for a week, and they played South that weekend, and they put like 60 points on them, and it was just like a roll out the red card. But they invited me into the sheds after. I got to meet the players, got to meet the coach, and I don't know. I just like it was the first time I thought to myself, I might not play rugby union next year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, probably the first time I went down there, and I said to my dad, I said, oh, I don't really want to be doing this. Like I haven't played. It was daunting, I hadn't played league in 13, 14 years, and
Can I ask? This might be a silly question, but as an outsider, obviously there's differences to
mm,
the game, but there's so many similarities. The physicality of it,
mm,
a lot of the skills that are required.
yeah.
So why does it feel daunting as someone who's
Well,
played the
footy's
opposite?
footy, but I think to be thrusted into like a professional environment
Mm.
when you haven't played the sport I know there are similarities, but the game is very, very different. And it's getting even more different now, given the rule changes to league. But yeah, I was nervous, like I was very comfortable playing rugby union, but I didn't. didn't know if I was a good league player. Like I didn't know that. I didn't know if it would suit me, suit my style of play, all this sort of stuff. So it was really daunting. I wasn't keen on it at all. But my old man said, he said, mate, you owe it to yourself to go down and see how it is and experience it. And so I went down there, and as I said, I was really impressed. I kind of left. I was on the flight home, and I said, oh, maybe this could be an option. And then a couple of days later, the Roosters came knocking. And so I met with the Roosters. I actually met with the Roosters and the Waratahs on the same day, because the Waratahs, obviously, we'd said to the Waratahs, oh, we're thinking about playing rugby league. And they said, oh, come and meet us. And so I met with them on the same day. I walked in and met Robbo, Nick. They were so good. They showed me a meeting and just like right at the red carpet sort of thing. I was so impressed. And then I walked over to the Waratahs and I just wasn't as impressed. So I kind of met only a couple people. They kind of rolled out a 5-year plan, and it was like playing top grade by the end of the 5 years. By that point, I would have been 23 or something. So for me, like being a 17-year-old, just wanting to play first grade, that wasn't like something you really wanted to hear. And so I kind of left that meeting and was like, I think it might be league. And then that's where the I suppose the arm wrestle came into it. And as I said, I gravitated towards Robbo very easily, very quickly. And I think that was probably the thing that got me over the line.
Is there I'm sure it's different with every coach, but it seems that Robbo plays kind of like a fatherly style figure as well, not just a tactician of the game, in the fact that he cares about the people you become outside of footy. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, well, I think it is. I think like we spend so much time there, and as I said, I've been there since I was a 17-year-old. So you do get to know them. Like you do get to know your teammates, your coaches on a real personal level. And I was saying this the other day, like I've gone through all these things and all these injuries, but like they've gone through it with me. They've gone through it with me. Like they've rode the wave with me every single injury I've had. They've rode it with me. And so through that, like there is a connection there, and there is a bond, and I suppose that is something that Robbo is very good at naturally, but given everything that's happened as well, like it adds a bit more. Like there's a bit more to it, I suppose.
Absolutely. A club like the Chooks, and we'll move on from footy in a second, but I want to ask you, it's quite an interesting club because from the outside, a lot of people talk about not just the rugby league side of the Chooks, but also the business side of the Chooks. And, we were chatting to Mark before, who has been so successful in business, a guy like Nick Politis, so successful. Does it give you an extra ambition for what's potentially there outside of the game? Do you think of life outside of footy?
You got to, I suppose, a little bit. Yeah, I do, and I'm well aware of the. I think just going back to the board of the Roosters are like nothing I've ever seen. They're the most supportive board. I mean, I again haven't played another club, but they're at sessions every week. They're at every game. Whether you're at Shark Park, you're in Melbourne, you're in Brisbane, like or Allianz, they're there. Always getting to know you as a person rather than a player, and for people who don't need to be doing that, like I mean, they're all successful in their own right. Obviously, Nick's very, very successful in his own right, and so is Mark. But that's a really cool thing because they just come to games, come to training sessions, and just want to chew the fat and get to know you as a person. And over the years, you get to have a good relationship with these sort of people, and through that, there come opportunities. But for me, it was never about that. It was always about like being like, oh, like just really good guys.
Yeah.
And that's always been the forefront for me, being like, oh, they're really good people. They got great connections, and everyone knows that. But yeah, I was always really impressed by that because I don't know many clubs be doing that.
Very hypothetical question, but let's say the rugby league shut up shop tomorrow and you didn't want to go play union. Like, what could you see yourself doing outside of footy? Is there something you think suits your personality?
I'm not too sure. I think about this a lot, to be honest. Yeah, I'm not too sure yet. I've given things a go over the years, but I'm still figuring it out. I think a little bit. I'm always talking to people and getting coffee with people but I haven't figured it out just yet. So still on that search.
So what interests you outside of the game?
Well, I got a degree in business.
Okay.
It's a very broad thing, but
Yeah.
that's something that's there.
And when did you do that? Is that a more recent thing, or was that in the early years at the Chooks?
Yeah, that's ongoing.
Okay.
So yeah, that's ongoing. Yeah, so I've just been plugging away at it, to be honest with you. But I think I did that because it was the most thing that covered most bases.
Yeah.
Because for me, and like a lot of kids growing up, like they don't really know what they want to do with themselves. I was very lucky to have the opportunity to do what I love and play sport. But for me, my dad's always been in my ear about like it does not last forever. Like, you need to have other things in life that you're passionate about, and I know that. But I guess that for me that was something that was really broad and gave me a bit of time to think about what I wanted to do before having to make the decision. And I'm still on that search.
What do mum and dad do?
Dad was in business. Dad was in travel.
Okay.
Yeah. So dad had his own travel business, and he's semi-retired now. He plays golf most of the time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, fair.
So he's and mum stopped working when she got five kids. I'm one of five.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
I didn't know that. I
yeah.
thought you were one of three, one of
No.
five.
So I got two twin sisters and two older brothers.
There you go.
So mum stopped working when she had five of us.
Are you the baby or the middle child?
I'm three, so I'm middle.
Okay.
So two older brothers and two younger sisters.
There you
So
go.
it's
God,
a full-time
mums.
job for mum. Probably harder than dad, to be honest with you.
How's your relationship with them differ?
With mum and dad?
Yeah.
Oh god, they're yin and yang, mum and dad. Like, mum has no idea about rugby. Like absolutely no idea. Like I come home after every game. She's like, "Darling, like you're the best on field." And I was like, "No, I know I wasn't." Whereas dad's like he softly spoken, but he loves it. He loves sport. He loves footy. So there's that aspect as like a footy player, but as I said, mum's very outgoing, loudly spoken, and dad's the opposite.
Do you go to them for different things?
Yeah, for sure. I think as all kids probably do, but dad's a bit of a realist. He's a bit of a hard nosed man. He'll kind of tell it to you straight, as mum's a bit softer. So if I've done something wrong and I've messed up, mum's the one to go to.
Yeah.
If I want some advice in terms of business or something like that, or career or anything like that, dad's probably a man. So I value both just as equally.
Yeah. It's always interesting to hear what side you feel you need more. Like some people are really balanced, but then there's some people who are kind of pretty hard on themselves, and every now and then they need that.
Well, that's exactly right. If I'm feeling shit, I'll go to mum so you can boost my ego a little bit. Because dad won't do that. He'll be, "Oh, I didn't play that great." "Yeah, you weren't great, mate." It's like, okay.
A healthy balance is important. Do you reckon do you think they recognize that they play a balanced role in your life as
probably
parents?
not. They're not. My parents aren't big deep thinkers, to be honest with you, so they probably don't. But it's natural. It is so natural for them. Like like I said, they're yin and yang. They're so different, and but like in a really good way. Because if there was two mums, two personalities like mum, I'd be way too egotistical. Two dads, I probably wouldn't even have an ego at all. So, it's a good mix, and I'm always very, very grateful for the both of them.
Tell me, so you grew up in the eastern suburbs, which is Roosters' heartland, and obviously having had your career success now in that space, in and amongst people who are usually supporters of the team, sometimes does it feel like work's a little bit too close to home?
A little bit. I've obviously I grew up in the eastern suburbs, and I'm very proud of the area. I love actually representing the area because obviously I grew up in the area and I know how passionate people are about the Roosters, and that makes me proud. But sometimes it does get a little bit much when, you go for a coffee in the morning and, you can't escape it sometimes. But in saying that, it's part of the job, one, and two, I understand it, because I haven't always been inside a professional environment, and I haven't always been a football player. I was once a fan, and I was once a big viewer who was intrigued by it all, so I completely understand it. Which is why I suppose I'm always very open to talking footy and to talking things with different people, because I know that sometimes that's something that interests people a lot.
Do you think you're more introverted or extroverted in your nature?
Probably more extroverted. To the ones I'm close with, like I don't have a big circle. I keep my circle pretty close, but to the people who know me, they'd be like, "Shut up, mate, you're an extrovert." But I'm not yeah, I'm an extrovert, but again, I like to keep my circle pretty close, pretty tight.
Yeah, absolutely. And so golf is obviously big for you. Do you surf?
No, I don't. I grew up surfing, but I was never that good at it, to be honest with you. And yeah, gave it up. I've said to myself I want to pick it back up again, but every off season there's something, there's surgeries or there's something else going
Yeah.
on, trips and stuff like that. So I haven't done it yet, but I think I will later in life. But I
Mm.
love my golf.
Do you have anything that isn't athletic? Because obviously, like sometimes I can imagine you're busted after a game and,
Mm.
going and walk on a course for 4 hours or even
Yeah,
just
yeah,
being
yeah,
out and
yeah. Well, I was
swinging.
just saying, mate, all my off season is golf, golf, and literally golf and hanging out with mates. And which I love
Mm.
because as I said, it switches you off. But there's not. I wish I could say I played the guitar or did something like that, but I don't do any of that.
So, what do you think is the biggest challenge for you in life right now
um,
outside of footy?
outside of footy, God, that's a tough question.
Yeah, what are you trying to figure out about yourself?
I think what we spoke before, like I'm now 26, and I've been through a mountain of injuries and all this sort of stuff. So I know that rugby league doesn't last forever,
Mm.
or sport doesn't last forever. So I think just figuring out what's next for me in life. As I said, I haven't figured that out just yet, but I suppose um, thinking more about it. I'd be lying to you if I said it doesn't give me a little bit of anxiety because
Mm.
we're so lucky to do what we do now, and we get paid good money to do it. But like when this all finishes, it's sometimes a tough reality for a lot of people. So just being able to, yeah, I suppose put myself in a good position post footy, is probably the thing that is the thing that probably keeps me up at night.
Mm.
So it's an
Interesting.
ongoing battle. So thanks for reminding me of it.
Well, let's talk about the a happier thing. Let's talk about what is it that you consume, whether it be, media, music, podcasts, books. Is there anything that really interests you?
I don't like spending too much time on my phone. So I do like I'd like to say I'm a big reader, but I'm not.
Mm.
I struggle reading, to be honest with you.
I'm a bit similar.
Yeah, like I've tried reading heaps over the years, and I still do try. But even my missus will tell you, I'll be like sitting there like reading, and then I'll get to the end of the page, and I'll be like, my mind would have drifted, and I'll be like, I gotta go back to the first part of the page and read it again. So I'm not a great reader, but I do I don't like sitting on my phone and scrolling. So I'll always try and do things that aren't that,
Mm.
whether that's listening to something or like I got a dog that I love,
Oh, what type of dog do you
got
have?
a Chucky Lab.
Oh,
She
beaut.
just turned one, so
What's her name?
her name's Deli.
Delhi.
So she's probably my favorite thing in this world at the minute. But she's great at like keeping. I mean, she's been great this year. She's obviously had her for about a year now, and she's been awesome. Like even like I know what she's obviously not a baby, but I know what the guys say when they head home after a game, and whatever the result is, like
Yeah.
my dog greets me the same way if I was the worst player on the field, best player on the field, or any of this
Yeah.
sort of stuff. She greets me the exact same way, and that's actually been like a really nice thing. Sounds stupid, but it's something that's been like a really nice change this year.
Mate, it doesn't sound stupid. I've got a 11-month-old cocker spaniel,
Oh,
Barney.
do you? Oh,
And mate,
cute.
Barney is my world, mate.
Yeah.
Sleeps in the bed between my wife and I. When I get home, he's that excited to see me.
Yeah.
It's like I've been gone for months.
Yeah.
And mate, it does feel. It sounds ridiculous because as you said, I've got mates who have got kids, but mate, that dog is like my baby.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
I come home and I'm so excited to see him.
Yeah. It's yeah.
It's unconditional love.
It is, and there's someone that showed me something funny. They said like you could lock your partner out in the rain for a whole day, and you'd open the door to her, giving you an absolute gobful. But if you locked your dog out for a whole day and opened the door, they would be so excited to see you. And
Yeah.
I think that is like sums it up to a T. I think humans could learn a lot from dogs, to be honest with you.
Do you have a yard at home?
Yeah, I got a little backyard. I live in an apartment block, but we have a nice backyard. My
Yeah, that's
brother actually
awesome.
lives downstairs, so we're in like a little
Little community.
little community. So he lives downstairs, so the dog loves going downstairs, checking in their
Yeah.
apartment, and coming back up, and
But I used to be a rule like used to love a morning trot. Like 6 a.m.
a
used to be out
walk.
the door for a run.
Yeah, right.
But since I got Barney, we live probably 500 meters, 300 meters from like a reserve and beach there and everything. It's off-lead dog area. And mate, I forget a run. I just
Mm.
want to get down, get him off a lead,
Yeah, yeah,
watch
yeah.
him swim in the water,
Yeah,
throw the ball, walk for him. I'll do a run later.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's probably
But
the
it's
best
good
thing.
for you. It's
Oh,
good for
it's
your
awesome. It's
soul.
probably the best thing about like this off season is that during the year it's really hard because I don't want to. As I said, I'm dealing with some arthritic stuff. So like
Mm,
the longer I spend on my feet, the sorer it gets. So I really try and like prioritize what's important, which is training and footy and all that sort of stuff. So like my partner does a lot of the walking and all that sort of stuff. But this off season, like it's been so nice. Being like wake
mm.
up and take her to the park, and I take her to the park around the corner, and she loves it. She's got like a little group of friends, and you get to know the owners, and like it's honestly like a
Yeah.
little community down there. I go there every morning at the same
Mm,
time. The same people are always there with the same dogs, and she loves it, which is why I love it so much. And get to know different people there,
mm.
and like yeah, it's bizarre. I never thought if I had to look back on myself 4 years ago and said I was speaking like this, I'd be like, "You're an idiot, there's no way." But it's funny how life pans out sometimes.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And it's good prep for kids. I don't know if you see yourself
Yeah,
having a family or not.
definitely. Eventually, a few
Yeah.
years away, but eventually.
Yeah. Is that something you think you'd like to do while you're still playing?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't worry me like whether I'm playing or not. I do want kids in the near future, not in the next year or two, but um, yeah, in the near future. Whether I'm playing or not by then doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, being a footy player to my kids is it doesn't bother me too much.
Can I ask? So, like, there's a lot of guys that I've spoken to who've played overseas, right? And this is not an R360 question, so don't. I know that that's kind of the hot topic
It
for
is. It
anyone
is. It is
who's
very.
related to the NRL to be talking about. But I see, as we just discussed before we jumped on here, like I had the opportunity to travel and have a honeymoon and everything recently, and it's so nice to be on the other side of the world, experience something different, and it feels like it's very fulfilling for the soul. And I often think when you're so talented and you got a sport that you can play in, particularly when the top league is here in Australia, and there's opportunities to go play Super League at the end of a career or go play French rugby or something like that and experience a different style of life. Does that interest you at all?
Yeah, definitely. I think, as I said, like a footballer's career is very short, like 10, 15 years max. Um, and that's not just money wise. That's like we're lucky enough that like football allows you to travel
Mm,
and do some pretty cool things. And I reckon you'd be lying to yourself if you said that um, doing like well, money's one thing, but traveling the world and experiencing different culture, living overseas is another thing. So it definitely interests me.
mm,
And obviously, I got some things that I want to accomplish here first at the Roosters and all that sort of stuff. But it's something that I definitely do think about down the track at some point. But yeah, if I catch myself thinking like that, I try and pull myself back a little bit
yeah.
because I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But it's something that I'll be lying to you if I said I didn't think about, of course.
We're at risk of encouraging you to get too far ahead of yourself. Do you have a list of goals, a list of things that you want to accomplish in your NRL career?
Yeah,
That
I think
are you
every
happy to be vocal about that?
I want to win a comp. I want to win a comp for the Roosters. That's obviously I want to have some individual accolades as well. I want to play rep footy and all that sort of stuff. But um, I'll be lying to you if I said that I I didn't want to win a comp for the Roosters. That's
Mm.
that's the forefront of my mind. That's all I want to do. It's literally I think about it every day. So as I said, they've given me so much, the Roosters, and I want to give them something back.
Can I ask you what you think? And I recognise that this is a potentially an insensitive question because it is so hard to go and win a comp. But do you think there was something that was missing this year?
I don't think there was something missing. I think this year was. I think we had so many young guys, and I mean, even me, like who hadn't played a lot of first grade rugby, first grade footy, especially over the last couple of years, and the guys just figuring it out a little bit, and they did so well to figure it out the way they did, and,
Absolutely.
and come on, and I feel like a lot of people think to themselves, this is a bit of a building year for us, and I feel that way too. I'm super excited to see where some of these guys can get to year two. You even see guys like Rob and guys who have like just played the first game at the start of the year and now playing international footy, playing Origin, that sort of stuff. So I'm really looking forward to having a full preseason with them, having made some like team changes too, and then I think there's no reason why our goal shouldn't be to win the comp next year.
Love it.
Plain and simple.
Love to hear it. Mate, this has been heaps of fun. Is
Yeah.
there anything you want to add?
Then
You guys don't get the chance to talk much without scrutiny, so
I think you covered it. You've done a good job of covering it. As I said, I'm not a big thinker. I'm not too much of a deep thinker. So I think you've covered everything.
mate, legend. Well, I hope you have a really nice off season and get to relax a bit.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Appreciate it. Good man.
Thank you.